Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be making a smoking dress, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to be using my bust. Let me come closer. My bust measurements, waist, hip, length, and then the sleeve. I'm going to be putting a sleeve. So as you can see here, I already divided all my measurements and even did the addition. So for this smoking dress, you're going to be adding 10 inches to your initial measurement. So if your bust is 35, you add 10, that gives you 45 before you now do all of the divisions that we have to do. I hope you understand. Add 10 inches to your main measurement before dividing by 4. So now I'm going to use the biggest part of my measurement, which is the hip. I'm going to use the biggest part of my measurement to fold the fabric. I'm just going to be adding 0.5 seam allowance. So my hip measurement here is 12.5. So I'm going to be folding this fabric this way, 12.5 like this. This place to this place should give me 12.5. The first thing we are going to do is to mark the length of this dress. You know we always start from the bottom up. So we're going to mark the length of the dress. The length of this dress I'm making is 46. So because what I'm making is an off-shoulder smoking dress, I'm going to be removing some measurements here. I'll place my tape right above the dress and take out 3.5. So normally I'm supposed to take out 4 inches for off shoulder, but then I need the 3.5 to be able to fold the top of that dress in. So I'm going to be taking out 3.5. I'll mark my 46 plus ½ inch allowance to fold the hem. So that gives me 46.5. This is the back of my fabric, that's why I'm proudly putting chalk on it. So please make sure yours is turned to the back. So now the next thing is to mark our waist measurement. My waist here is 9.5. So every measurement you're going to do like this, you need to make sure that your tape is still at that 3.5 so that you don't make any mistake. So my half length, which is the waistline, is 16. So I'll mark 16 because that's where I'll be marking. That's my waist divided by 4. So this is 16. And then the hip line is 25.5. That's 9 inches. Some people's own is 8 inches. So depending on your own measurement, you use what you have. So now we've gotten all of this. Of course, our bust line is the next one. So the bust line is usually your half length divided by 2. So mine is 16, meaning that my bust line is 8. Because I have ½ inch here, I'm going to be marking 8.5 as opposed to 8. Remember the ½ inch that I was supposed to take off at the beginning? Yeah. So I'm marking 8.5. Now I'm going to fix my horizontal measurements. My bust is 11.5. Plus ½ inch seam allowance. Waist is 9.5 plus ½ inch seam allowance, that's 10. Hip is 12.5 plus ½ inch seam allowance, that's 13. And then at the bottom, I don't want to use the exact hip measurement. I went ahead to subtract 3 inches from the normal hip allowance, from the normal hip measurement, and then I added my 10 and did all my division. So instead of me marking 12.5 at the bottom as well, I'm going to be marking 11.75 because I want it to, you know, kind of give me some pencil effect. So I'm marking 11.75 and I am not putting any seam allowance at the bottom. Great, so now we have all the measurements. I'm going to take a ruler to mark them all out so that you can see the lines clearly, because this fabric is quite colorful. I won't be surprised if you can't see these markings. I'll join the bust to the waist. Join the waist to the hip. Great, so this is what we have. Now at the top of this dress, I'm going to be marking my bust measurement at the top again, at this top line. So my bust measurement is 11.25. I'm going to mark that here plus the seam allowance. So that's 12.25. Now I've marked it at the top here. I'm now going to subtract 3 inches from this place. So from this 3-inch mark, I marked it from outside in. So from this 3-inch mark, I'm going to be joining this 3-inch mark to the bust line mark, like this. So you see this is what I have now. So after all my markings, this is what I have, like this. This is my bust to waist, and then my waist to the hip, and then to the bottom of the dress. So now I'm going to cut out this particular piece, and I'm going to use this to cut the back. I have 2 pieces of the dress now, so the next thing we're going to be cutting is the sleeve. My sleeve measurements, the round sleeve, like the round the arm, is 12, so I added 8 instead of 10 that we added for the dress. I added 8 because her arm is not too fat at all. So that gives me 20, and I divided by 2, so I have 10. So I folded my fabric already by 10. The length of this sleeve is 24, but because I'm going to be having some smocking thing going on at the wrist area, I made it 28, so that when she pulls up that part, it can have this really puffy effect, you know. So yeah, so what we have now is 28. I'm going to be subtracting 3.5 from that our 28, and that gives me 24.5. So I'm marking 24.5 here, plus my 0.5 sewing allowance, so that's 25 in total. I'll mark at the top here, like this. Great. So we're going to do the same thing we did for the dress. We placed our tape here. That's 3.5 outside, and then we marked 8.5. That's the same thing I'm going to be doing here as well, because I want the sleeve and the dress to be the same thing. Great. So on this mark now, we're going to mark the bicep, which is 10. 10.5. The 5 is for the sewing allowance. At the bottom, I'm also going to do the same thing. I understand that the biceps and the wrists are not the same size. The biceps is usually bigger, but I'm doing the same thing here because I want it to be puff at that part. So I'm also marking the same 10.5 here. Now we're going to come to the top and also transfer our 10.5 up here again. and then we go in by 3 inches the way we did for the dress, and then we join it like this, so now I'm going to join this 10.5 mark to this 10.5 mark. Great, so that's our sleeve. Now I'm going to cut out this and cut another one, and that's it. This is my dress. I have opened it up. I'm going to measure the length of the dress, 43. So if I subtract 0.5 at the top and at the bottom, I have 42 inches left. That means I'm going to be making 42 lines across like this. So now I'm going to mark 1 inch apart in all the 42 lines. I'll mark here. Okay, let me do this at the bottom and just show you. I'm going to be excluding my 0.5. So I'll mark 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. Come to this side. Zero 0.5. Then I'll mark 1 inch, 1 inch, 1, 1, 1 again, 1, 1. So now I'm going to use my ruler to join. This is the 0.5 mark. This one is for my hemming. So you would hem your bottom and the top before you even begin, so that you don't just do the whole thing and then forget and start struggling with it later. So I'm going to do this mark, these lines. I'm going to do it all the way to the top. I'm also going to do it for the dress, the second part of the dress, and for the sleeve, just so that I don't get confused when I'm sewing. The sewing will just be very, very smooth. So look at my lines. So I did this all the way to the bottom of the dress. I'm also going to do this for the other part of the dress and the sleeve as well, and then we head to the sewing machine. Okay, so guys, we're on the sewing machine now. The first thing I'm going to do is to reel my smocking thread all over these bobbins. You can't do them like the way we do them with the normal thread, so I'm going to be doing it manually, like rolling it over and over and over and over on all the bobbins. Okay, so guys, we're on the sewing machine now. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to roll my thread, my smocking thread. This is my smocking thread, you can see, round the bobbins. So we can't reel it the way we normally do the normal thread, because of course this one is elastic, so you have to do it manually until I have 4 of them to do. So I'm going to reel the thread on all 4 of them. That's how you're going to do yours as well. Manual machine, tabletop machine, whichever one you're using, you're going to reel the thread like this on all of them. And while you're reeling, make sure that you're not pulling the thread. Just put it on it like this. Don't pull the thread at all. Okay, so I finished reeling my thread to my bobbin, as you can see. So now I'm going to keep them aside and then just put this one the way we normally put the thread itself, the normal thread. Just put it and then bring it over here and you put it in your machine. Great, so now we are ready to sew. So before you begin, maybe it would be good for you to sew the top of your dress like the way I have done mine. I weaved this place and then I sewed it down. I always like to do this at the beginning. Some people leave it and do it at the end, but I always like to do it at the beginning so that I don't have to bother about it anymore. So the next thing we're going to do now is, of course, start sewing. So we'll have to, like this, and then you start sewing. So this is my first stitch. The first stitch usually doesn't make sense to you until you like do a lot of it. So I'm just going to turn this over and place it here, and then sew again. While sewing, I'm also going to monitor how many lines can my bobbin make so that I know how best to prepare, because I have 42 lines here. So how many lines can one bobbin sew? Okay, so I'm just going to sew one more and I'll finish up. I'm sure you guys already get the point now. Okay, so you can see that it's already taking shape. It's already taking shape. So I'm just going to finish up the whole dress, this one and the back. I'm done sewing the dress now. This is what I have. It looks so good. Like, it really gathered very well. And this is my sleeve. I didn't do the smocking on the whole sleeve, just the top and the bottom like this. Yeah. So I'm going to join the dress together, the front and the back, and then I'll attach my sleeve and our dress is done. Like, this dress is really simple. The only thing that takes time is having to do this whole smocking thing all over it, but it's really simple. So I'm just going to sew my sleeves, close them up, the sides of the sleeves, and then the dress itself, attach them together, and we're good. I've joined my dress, the front and the back. If you can see the straight seam. The next thing now would be to attach my sleeves to this part. You can weave, or at this point you can actually weave the two sides. So this is my sleeve and I'll be attaching it here. I'll also be folding in the bottom of my sleeve because I had a lot of space there, that's why I didn't fold it in then. And we're done, we are done. This is the dress. It looks so good. It looks really good. I actually love the outcome. I was actually scared at the beginning, thinking maybe the 1 inch space would be too much. But I think because it's long, it came out really nice. Normally, for let's say something of shorter length, like a top, I would have used 0.75 or even 0.5. But yeah, it came out really good. I like it. So do yours and show me. Tag me, mention me everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.